Despite being far away from holding a title in the UFC at the moment and never actually holding one, Nate Diaz is one of the UFC's iconic fighters. For a long time, he had been in the shadow of his older brother, Nick Diaz. However, throughout his long career, he managed to make a name for himself as being fearless, ruthless, and extremely dangerous in the octagon. His popularity peaked after he faced Conor McGregor back in 2016 and managed to submit the rising star. When Nate Diaz signed with the UFC, he had a very promising start. He managed to win 5 fights in a row, and that gave him a real badass reputation. In the following minutes, we will present to you 5 of Nate Diaz's best finishes in his career. Nate Diaz delivers a first-round TKO against Maynard. This was not the first time the Stockton native faced the at-the-time rising star Maynard. They have crossed 2 times prior to the 2016 fight and shared 1 win and 1 loss. The third fight would close the rivalry with a trilogy in which the winner takes all credit and becomes the better fighter of the two. Nate Diaz entered the octagon looking extremely confident and ready to take on everything that Gray may have been holding for him. Initially, he suffered 1 brutal takedown. However, not long after that, Nate came back to his feet and started blasting his opponent with the most basic but dangerous combination, jab cross. After receiving numerous blows and not being able to defend himself, Gray lost the fight by a TKO. Nate Diaz submits Kurt Pellegrino and almost puts him to sleep. Nate Diaz is a fighter that can do both. He has many KO/TKO finishes, but has many submissions as well. To be fair, the submission finishes are his stronger side. Throughout his career, he had delivered 11 submission finishes, and the one against Kurt Pellegrino at the UFC Fight Night 13 in 2018 is one of his best. The important thing to mention here is that Nate Diaz is a fighter that can take a tremendous beating and refuse to fall down on the canvas. And this fight against Kurt was a similar case. After being totally dominated in the octagon, and after receiving considerable damage, Nate somehow manages to turn the situation in his favor and submit the fight favorite Kurt. He performed an outstanding triangle choke in which he almost put Kurt to sleep. This was a proper way to announce his return to the UFC scene. Nate Diaz blew up Marcus Davis's eye at the UFC 118 in 2010. You know you don't have a long time left inside the octagon for a fight if a referee stops it and informs you that you are not far from visiting the emergency room. You could have heard the excitement and the amazement in Joe Rogan's voice when he yelled, "Wow, he's hurt." It didn't take long for the commentary team to notice that Marcus's cut is getting worse and worse, and they began speculating on when and how will it blow up. Diaz continued to blast Marcus's face constantly and used almost every possible opportunity to land a punch on his face. Near the end of the 3rd round, the Stockton native decided that that was enough for Marcus's embarrassment and put an end to his misery as he lured him into the guillotine choke. After the fight, amazed by the performance, fans were rumoring that what follows for Nate is a title shot. However, that never came true. Nate Diaz wins the submission of the night bonus against Takanori Gomi at UFC 135 and almost breaks his arm. Nate Diaz showed his fearlessness and his striking abilities in his fight. Although he finished the fight with a submission, he managed to punish Takanori Gomi to the extent that he ceased to present a serious fighter in the lightweight division after this. Takanori went to the ground as a result of Nate's blows to his head several times during the fairly short fight. At the beginning of the fight, Nate showed his opponent that he is not there to joke around. His first blow to Gomi's head brought him straight to the ground. As the audience in the arena cheered, they also knew that Gomi's reign is about to end. Nate Diaz's hand reach played a great role in defeating the Japanese fighter. To formulate it better, the relation between both fighters' hand reach played a major role. When you watch the fight, you can notice how Nate dodges Gomi's striking attempts by slightly moving his head. After receiving a beating on his feet, Gomi decided to go to the ground with hopes that he can take on Diaz with his wrestling abilities. However, before doing so, he did not take into consideration one thing: the Stockton native is equally potent on the ground as well. As they transferred the fight to the canvas, Nate dominated once more. While avoiding being hit, he continued to give Gomi significant blows to his body and head. Eventually, Nate managed to lock his legs around Gomi's neck and take a hold of his left hand. Gomi is forced to bow down to the Stockton native and tap or have his arm snapped. Nate Diaz submits Conor McGregor at the UFC 196. After being stable in the UFC lightweight division for quite some time, Nate Diaz is put against one of the rising welterweight stars, Conor McGregor. Nate went down to welterweight in a try to prove to be superior regardless of which situation they put him in. And he was right. It was an interesting fight. Both fighters have an aggressive game, and they made sure they brought it with them to the octagon this night. Conor McGregor started the fight by delivering the first left hand to Diaz's head. However, this did not scare off the Stockton-born, and he replied with the same intensity. He went for a clinch and shortly after scored a takedown, which added some points to his scorecard. The round finished and both fighters had shown similar abilities. In the second round, UFC fans were sure that they will witness a bad loss for Nate Diaz. His face was completely covered in blood after several blows to his head, and it all seemed over. But Nate wouldn't be Nate if he's not able to rise as a phoenix from the ashes of his own imprudence. McGregor started getting tired from the numerous shots he delivered, and the opportunity was used by Nate to bring the Notorious down on the canvas once more. He mounted on the back of the Notorious, and from there on it was a piece of cake for him. He locked his hands around Conor's neck and performed a rear naked choke, forcing McGregor to tap. To conclude, Nate Diaz is an absolute savage. He can take a beating like no other and use it to his own advantage. One false move and he will take advantage. He is like a lion lurking on its prey and waiting for the perfect moment. He is set to fight Khamzat Chimaev in what is to be his last fight for the UFC promotion. Will he be able to submit him as well? Well, we can only wait and see. If you enjoyed this, make sure to let us know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.